Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to buy from you. No matter what you have to offer, even if it's the most amazing product or service to be seen on this lovely planet of ours, but not everybody's going to get it. And that's okay. I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of the L.O.V.E Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. What if the way you learn to speak up or stay quiet as a child is now blocking clients from finding you and what you have to offer? Well, today we're going to break those old patterns and help you find the real voice your business needs to thrive. But first, as always, I want to welcome you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if this is your first time joining us. I am Gloria Grace, founder of Align to Shine Academy, and I empower women over 50 to step into their highest potential with clarity and confidence. And this topic today about learning how to really share your authentic voice is one I resonate with so much, because it's something that I have to do a big sigh there for a second. Ooh, it's something that has been a process I was going to say learn, but I feel like it's more relearn, because of course when we're children, it's natural to be able to speak up and say what we think and just be bold. And sometimes, though, that boldness or speaking up isn't always appreciated. And it can start early. And in particular, if you have grown up in a family with some kind of trauma or abuse. I grew up with an alcoholic dad and a lot of also yelling between my parents and my older siblings. And the lesson I took away from that was to really start dimming down my light, especially around my family. Now, I was pretty good in school. I would, be able to speak up. I was a member of the Girl Scouts, and I was happy being, taking part and speaking up there. But definitely around my family, and also in stressful situations, in conflict. Like I was bullied as a kid, especially in middle school. I didn't handle that very well. I didn't know how to really stick up for myself. And those patterns started carrying over into adulthood. Now not when I first started working for companies, and when I was an employee, I was okay. But when I started my own business way back in 2009, and I had to go to networking meetings, for instance, and I had to talk about what I did, and I had to essentially sell my services, sell me on potential clients. Oh man, that was challenging at the beginning. And even now, wow, it's interesting. Oh my goodness, my what is it, the solar plexus, I think, area, my little tummy area is already getting little in the memory of that. It's getting a little bit anxious. because it remembers. Our bodies are so powerful, and they store emotions and memories. And I've had amazing people on the show. Go back and watch who talk about somatic healing. Marbeth Dunn was a wonderful person I had on a few months back. Go find that. I may see if I can link to that in the show notes. Maybe I should take. I'm going to put a quick note here on my little notepad about that, because that wasn't on my plan today when I had my little notes about what I want to talk about today. And yeah, because that just came up spontaneously. Remembering. So this, I'm going to go into why this is important. But, well, actually, yeah. So why is this important? Let's talk about this. How can this impact? So these patterns that happen to me, and it happens to a lot of us, in particular women, I think, who go into business. When these patterns that we learn as a child, whether it is maybe it's to overspeak or it is to be silent, it can translate into things like being a people pleaser. That's definitely what I learned how to do. And when you are a people pleaser, then you're doing everything you can to please everybody. And how that shows up in business is perhaps you are keeping your fees artificially low because you want to attract everybody as a client, instead of figuring out who is that exact right client and then pricing it accordingly. So that's one thing. Or it's people pleasing can show up in business as, again, sort of you're following the crowd in your marketing and not being authentically who you are. And that's not gonna work very well. It might work initially for a little while, but then people are going to recognize that that's not who you are. That's not your unique voice. It can create, you can start being a perfectionist in content creation, which that means maybe it takes you either forever to publish something because you want it to be just right, or you never get around to publishing something or like doing a social media post because you want it to be just perfect. And my lesson that I've learned on this is get it done, get it out there. Like it for your website, for instance. You can always go back and tweak it. You can always go back and change it. But if let's say you're just starting a business, or maybe you're pivoting a little bit now in your business. And that happens a lot to a lot of us as we get older, and maybe our business is going in one direction and now we're feeling called to do something different. And so we pivot into a new direction, and the website doesn't totally reflect that. So now you're going to have to go back in and make some changes. And that's okay. I'm still in the process of revamping my own website to reflect my direction now, as opposed to being strictly an SEO copywriter, which is what I started my business doing in 2009. I was helping businesses to get found on Google, in the search engines. And I still do that. And I also do a lot more deeper work, because in being in business all of these years now, I learned that mindset patterns, like not being able to share your authentic voice, impact how you show up online. And so I am really committed to providing help in that area to do this mindset work and this healing work through different energy modalities, to be able to help you to align with your inner self, your higher self, so that you can then shine in business and you can attract the clients you want to attract. And start posting content that reflects that. So what was my point? Oh yeah, that's right. So I'm still working on my website continues to be a work in progress as I'm slowly transitioning that over. And that's okay. And also, one of the other ways that communication we wind up not sharing our authentic voice is because we want approval, whether it's from our clients or our coworkers. And again, that kind of stems from, maybe as a kid where you might have felt like you really wanted approval from your parents or from your teachers. And so then you're afraid that, if they see the real me, maybe they're not going to like me. And so you get into this self-judgment, which I'm telling you is not a good place to be. Again, been there, done that, and not wanting to do that anymore because it feels so good when you can just be who you are and not worry so much about what other people think. Because here's the deal, folks. I hate to break this to you. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to buy from you. No matter what you have to offer, even if it's the most amazing product or service to be seen on this lovely planet of ours, but not everybody's going to get it. And that's okay. That's another lesson we have to learn, is how to accept when someone says no. And know that don't take it personally, because there's somebody else out there. And that's why this is so important, for you to be able to heal these old communication patterns that aren't serving you, to be able to share your authentic voice, is because there are people out there that need you. They need what you are selling. And they need your special sauce. They need it the way that you are going to deliver it. Okay, I don't know what I said there. That'll be interesting to see on the transcript. The way you deliver it is what I wanted to say. They are looking for that, your special something. And if they don't see you posting online, doing webinars, doing videos, sharing your voice in an email or an ad, whatever, if they don't see you and hear you speak in their language, by the way, then they're going to go find somebody else. And they may not be served as well because they were looking for you. Oof. Wow. I'm getting very emotional today. Now I'm like almost crying here because it's so important. There are people out there that need you, and you owe it to them to be out there where they can find you. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay. I'm going to catch my breath for a moment. And let's see. So what else do I want to say about this? Because this is so important. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. Okay, so I think we've talked a little bit about how when you're not sharing your authentic voice, how this shows up. So it shows up in a few ways. So the messaging that you're putting out there is not as powerful as it could be, frankly, because it's not coming from your heart. You know, my tagline on my website is messages from the heart, because that's what I share, and that's what I encourage my clients to do as well, is to share messages from your heart. You're inconsistent in, content creation. Maybe you send an email once and then you wait 6 months until you send another one. That's not a way to communicate with people. You're over-explaining. I hope I'm not doing that right now. Or apologizing. Uh-oh. Okay. You'll get it. I'm demonstrating. There we go. Resistance to sharing personal stories. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, sharing a personal story is such a powerful way for you to attract the people you want to work with. And not only, and I know probably you're automatically thinking, oh, sure, share my successes. And that's important. You can share testimonials of clients. And I see lots of folks doing that on LinkedIn, for instance. And that's absolutely important. You want to do that. You want to share those client wins. And you want to do like I did at the beginning, talking about my story, talking about how I was a people pleaser, about how I, did this. I was a perfectionist at times. And so being vulnerable, not being afraid to be vulnerable and share where you might have made mistakes. Because here's the thing, when people see that, this helps people in two ways. It helps your clients in two ways. Number one, they say, okay, I'm not the only one who screws up. Phew, thank God. What a relief. And let me tell you, that's a big relief sometimes. And they then they'll respect you more because they'll say, okay, if this person is vulnerable enough to share their story, wow, I wonder how else they're going to show up and how else that's going to help me. And it's so positive. So now, let's talk about our voice. Let's do that now. The quality of your voice can change depending on your emotional and physical state. And this is why when you're on a sales call, you've probably heard, if you've done any sort of sales training over the years, you've probably heard sales coach say, when you're on the phone, and probably even when you're on a Zoom call, is to smile. Because that, just smiling while you're talking, your voice comes across differently than when I'm talking like this, when I'm not smiling, and I'm just talking like this. Then the inflection, the tone, the pitch is a lot different than when I'm smiling. And I think especially with women in particular, but I wonder, this may happen with men as well, when you're smiling, because I'm hearing it, that the range, the pitch has gone up higher than when I'm talking like this, when I'm not smiling. My voice automatically drops into a lower register, but when I'm smiling, it goes higher. And so it's much more appealing. It's something with our brain, and we're going to respond more, we're going to respond better to that. So that's why it's so important to be able to raise your vibration. And even when you're writing, not only when you're speaking, but when you are writing, you also want to be happy. And maybe that requires putting on some music. You know, if music puts you in a good mood, oftentimes I will do that when I'm maybe writing a blog article or an email or something. I'm going to put some music on so that I'm in a good frame of mind while I'm creating, because anything that we do when we are marketing our business, we are creating. So in order to be able to create effectively and be able to attract the clients you want to attract, then putting yourself in a good mood first is going to do that. Because even through the words, your audience is going to pick up on that vibration. I don't know. I'm sure there is a science behind this. I don't know exactly what it is, but I believe it. I'm going to say that. So how can we, if let's say you're someone out there listening to this right now and you're like, okay, fine. Yeah, I've had some issues in the past, and I can think about it, that I know I'm not being as effective in my business as I'd like to be, and I want to be able to share my voice more effectively. What can I do beyond putting music on? Well, there are other ways to be able to help, and that I mentioned listening to music. Well, here's something else, is actually doing your own personal practices like singing or chanting. That can also help to balance that energy inside of you and help to clear emotional blockages and support healing. And it's why one of the practices that I do is a sound modality called light language. And on some past episodes on the show, and I'm going to start getting back to that again, is I would share this sound message. It's a language that is, I guess you could say it's a foreign language. It's a multi-dimensional foreign language because it's not from Earth necessarily, or certainly not current language. It's when people hear me either speak it or sing it, it'll remind them of different cultures, but I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but I know the vibration of it is love. And when I have clients who have experienced it, they have really helped them. Number one, it's great for stress relief, and it also can help with clearing these blockages. So I think what I'm going to do actually right now is I might even, well, no, I'm not going to share it right now. I'm going to share, I'll do that a little bit later in the episode. So let's see, what else is it that I want to talk about? So, okay. When your voice is forced, or when you're not in alignment with your higher self, with your true self, then it really can create dissonance, and it reduces the impact of your message. Oh, that's what I was going to share an example of. That's right. Now I remember. So and this is going back a few years now, as I was, well, some of you probably know my story, that it's been almost 10 years now since my sister was diagnosed with, it's been almost 10 years since my sister was diagnosed with cancer, and I lost her about 18 months later. And when that happened, I had been doing this copywriting, but as I was grieving, I started feeling, well, and I'd also been given this divine download of the L.O.V.E method, love method, and that wound up going into my book, Live, Love, Engage. And I felt like there was something more, something else I needed to be doing in my business. It wasn't just doing the copywriting, which was a great service, and I had clients that really appreciated what I was doing. And so I was sharing some information on social media, doing some posts, but they weren't being effective. And I wasn't, people were picking up on my energy. They really were. It's amazing that, like I said, even in the written word, that people will pick up on your energy. So it wasn't until I started doing a whole bunch of different work on myself, doing a lot of different healing, exploring different healing modalities. I was, worked with someone I did some theta healing with her. I was doing, eventually, starting in 2020, I started doing light language. I started channeling that for myself after hearing someone else do it for a while, and that was helping me clearing things out. And when I finally was able to get the book written and started applying the love method in my own life and business, suddenly I was able to make more effective social media posts that would actually get engagement, because I was now in alignment with my higher self. And my vibration was coming through as this more joyful and thankful and joyful and thankful. Gratitude and joy, it was coming through much more effectively than it had been, because I had, well, number one, I'd been, healing the grief, but now I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to teach women in particular how to stop doubting themselves and start being themselves, which is the subtitle of my book, is how to stop doubting yourself and start being yourself, because that was something I had to learn how to do. And when you can stop that self-doubt and stop being a people pleaser and be able to really own the truth of who you are, then it is just so much easier to be able to communicate with other people. You will be able to, not only doing social media, but when you go to a networking meeting, for instance, if you're whether it's online or in person, when you are really secure in who you are, then you're going to show up better, and you're going to show up more authentically, and you're going to resonate. Well, the people who are meant to work with you are going to resonate with you, and they're going to come and talk to you and say, tell me more. Tell me more about that. I want to know, what exactly is it that you're doing? So that's why this is so important. And also to remember, the law of attraction, like attracts like. So when you are in that state of really loving yourself, ultimately is what this comes down to too, which I just realized I neglected to say. It's about loving yourself and all of yourself, the things you're not as crazy about, because we all have those shadow sides, are things that we perceive are not as, I don't want to say good or bad, but things that we're not fond of. Let's put it that way. Things where we wish we were better at, things like that. And that's okay. Self-acceptance is so key. So actually, I'm just going to share with you quickly the love method, because it's about letting go of these old ideas, letting go of these old limiting beliefs that you're not enough or that you're not worthy of success, let's say, and letting God into your life and putting your trust and faith in a higher power. It's about opening your heart to receive wisdom and guidance. And it's about valuing your uniqueness. That's really the key. That's what this is ultimately about. It's about valuing your unique special sauce, like I talked about earlier at the beginning of this podcast today. Valuing who you are, the good, the bad, all of it. Because all of it has got you where you are today. And that's good, ultimately, because you're still alive, you're here, you are endeavoring to grow and to learn and to serve your clients. So value that. And then embrace your divinity. That's the E in the love method. So yeah, embrace the fact that you are an amazing, divine, spiritual being. And that's pretty darn awesome. So I thought what I do right now is I would like to actually demonstrate and share a light language message with you today. To when I work with clients, what I do is find out what is, number one, what is their particular challenge that they need support with, and then I set an intention that the message that is going to come through will be to help with that and always just be for their soul's highest good and the highest good of all concerned. So what I'm going to do right now is share a message that if you feel that you have some sort of old communication pattern that is keeping you from really being as successful as you'd like to be, I'm setting the intention that what you hear today will help you to be able to release that, and so that you can go out and share your authentic voice with the world. Now, one caveat I will share with you is that if you are listening to this podcast while you are driving a car or operating heavy machinery, that you might want to pause this and come back to it a little bit later. Because what I would really love you to do is to be able to take a break wherever you are, put your feet on the floor, close your eyes so that you can just focus on the sounds that come through, and set your own personal attention that whatever comes through is going to be for your soul's highest good. So whether that is healing a communication pattern or something else, because it's a multidimensional language and it can help you in a myriad of ways. And I'll talk about some more about that in a little bit as well afterwards. So, all right. Okay. I'm setting the intention that message that comes through today is going to be for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned.
𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘥 𝘱𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘥 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘥 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘥 Kariato, karato, kiato eta, anna ke kakoya suam, akashana kriya pukiana, kohu koyano, anna kareke, oshono iya, anno kariato, kokoyana karyam. Shankara to kanare kanario tuam kalano kea to kashano kea koreano koshi pana kriya wamanana pana ko kayana ie koshana kriya poto hue koko hue Sanakiya tusho kokane. So my intention today was to give you a little taste. Give you a little taste of that. Because normally I will share a lot more when I'm working with clients, and I will invite you that if you're feeling called to this, if your heart felt lighter,
listening to that today to consider booking a session with me, because really the best way to experience lasting transformation, number one, it's with a personalized light language session that addresses your specific challenges, as I mentioned earlier, that because that's what I will do. I will talk with my client beforehand and see, what is it that they need, and it can really help. So, for instance, I had a client, Elise, who said that her experience with me created a deeper connection with Source, and the level of peace and clarity that she took from that, it really elevated her sacred space design work. So it can really be great. And what I do, for those of you who may be wondering, okay, well, how do I do this? So what I offer is I offer 30-minute sessions via Zoom, and I'll record it, of course, on Zoom, and then I will send you the recording afterwards so that you can listen to it again and again. Alternatively, you can also then schedule multiple sessions with me as well. But, even just doing it once, I would just really recommend it. And if you want to be able to schedule, you can go ahead and schedule your session today. I will have this in the show notes. And you can go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/capital L, capital E for Live, Love, Engage, podcast, that's all lowercase, and then the number 30. So LLE podcast 30. And that'll take you right to my scheduler, where you can find a day and a time that will work for you. And there is a charge, there is an investment for it. So I feel so strongly that this is so helpful, and I know it's helped a lot of my clients. So I encourage you to consider doing that. And if you want to also just maybe chat with me a little bit more about it, you can also do that too. You can go to engagewithgloria.com. You can schedule a call with me, and we'll talk about it, because maybe light language isn't what you need. Maybe you need something else, or maybe I can refer you to somebody. If I can't help you, I will do my best to point you in the right direction. Because sometimes you might have something that really needs someone like a psychologist, someone who, or a psychiatrist, a licensed therapist. I am not a licensed therapist. So I want to make sure that you're going to be served by the right type of people. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah. One other thing I wanted to share with you, or wanted to mention too, is that if you are someone who would like more support in, let's say, overcoming perfectionism, I encourage you to check out an earlier episode from this year on the podcast. It was called Stop Tweaking, Start Thriving, How to Overcome Perfection Paralysis. And so you'll find that. And yeah, I'll also put a link to that in the show notes as well, so you don't have to search for it so much. But but I encourage you to check that out. So I think that's going to do it for this time. I so appreciate you joining me today, and I'm really grateful for all of you for listening and for watching. And so I hope you are subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube at Gloria Grace Rand. And until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.